Hello and welcome to Think Watercolour. Today I want to use this quick sketch of an early morning autumnal scene to demonstrate the use of contre-jour to create depth and strong contrast in your watercolours, plus how to use natural sponge to paint foliage. Contre-jour is backlighting of the subject, where the sun is seen as either a bright spot or as a sort of strong glare behind the subject. This effect usually hides details, causes a stronger contrast between light and dark, it creates silhouettes, and generally emphasizes lines and shapes. So let me demonstrate how I did this. I've loosely sketched the scene on a piece of Saunders Waterford 300-gram rough paper. Just a quick outline of where the foreground trees are going to be, and positioning of the distant fields and hills. Starting with the sky, this is a mixture of cerulean blue and a touch of cobalt blue, and I'm working on dry paper, just blocking in the sky quite dark at the top, but I'm going to just water it down with some clean water towards the bottom, just to emphasize this backlighting, this contre-jour, where the light is coming from behind. This will dry lighter anyway, but I'm just leaving an area of white paper just behind the trees, just to indicate where perhaps the sun might be behind some light clouds. Just mixing up some lemon yellow, just as a starting point for the distant hills. And I'm leaving a little bit of a gap because I'm going to, once these two washes are dry, I'm going to put in some distant hills or trees. Just added a touch of sap green to the lemon yellow. It's a very watery mix and it's going to dry much lighter, and I'll probably darken it a little bit later, but just wanted to get an initial wash down just to establish where the shapes are. Just going to add a touch of burnt sienna to the mix, just to indicate a hillside that's a little bit nearer to us, just by these trees, foreground trees. Okay, I'm going to let that dry before continuing. Just added a little bit of burnt sienna to the sky mix, just to create this bluish grey for the distant hills. And on the right hand side, I'm just going to add some burnt sienna just to indicate a row of trees at the end of that field coming in this direction. Just helps to give shape to the scene, and a little bit of depth. This is a natural sponge, and I've mixed up some pyrrole orange, quite a reasonably thick mix, but not too strong. Pyrrole's a very strong colour. I just want to start to indicate the foliage on the autumn foliage on the trees. The trick here is to have a fairly light touch. Don't press too hard with the sponge, and try to use a reasonably thick mix of paint. If it's too watery, you won't get the effect. It'll just blend together on the page. And this is some more lemon yellow, just to vary the autumn colours. And this is just the initial sort of sponging wash, if you like. I will darken some areas later. In between picking up each colour, I've dried the sponge, well, cleaned the sponge with some clean water and dried it on a piece of kitchen towel. Just adding some sap green, just a bit of variety where the leaves just haven't turned gold yet. Just to also to suggest a little bit of shade on that side of the tree. Natural sponges are fairly easy to get hold of. Don't use a synthetic sponge, you won't get the same effect. I've just mixed up a very dark brown, almost black colour with using pyrrole orange and some Prussian blue. Prussian blue and pyrrole orange are really good colours to put together to make either a dark brown or almost a black. And as these trees are going to be in silhouette, I want it to be as dark as possible. My advice to any beginner is not to use black watercolour paint. It tends to dry very flat and matte. If you mix your own blacks, they will look a little bit more vibrant when they're dry. Just using a mixture of jadeite green and sap green for this foreground hillock where the trees are located. Just varying the strength of the colour there so that get a little bit of variety of colour on that little hillside where the trees are once it's dry. Just strengthening the darkness of those tree trunks. They're still damp, but they're drying a bit too light. So using a fairly strong mix, not too much water, I can get away with adding colour to the painting without worrying about cauliflowers. I'm just sponging a stronger mix of the pyrrole orange. It will dry a little bit lighter, but it's nice and strong, and plus a little bit of burnt sienna as well, just to add a little bit of variety. Autumnal colours. As I said before, it does require a very gentle touch when you're touching the paper, not too heavy. And on this right hand side, just adding some darker greens where the foliage hasn't quite turned towards the yellows and golds of autumn. Just adding a little bit more fairly neat yellow, lemon yellow. Again, it's a very strong mix. For this field, just behind the hillock where the trees are, just adding a little bit more sap green and lemon yellow mix, just to strengthen the colour. It was looking a bit weak. Just blending it a little bit more towards the distance with some clear water. And just adding a few patches of fallen leaves in the foreground. And just using the side of the brush to pick up the texture of the paper for that hill to the right, rising up towards the horizon line. A few more touches with the sponge of fairly neat lemon yellow. Just adding a little bit of shadowing on those on that hillside, the other side of the hillock where the trees are, just to give it a bit more definition. Bit of tidying up towards the end of the sketch, really. Just added a touch of lemon yellow in the foreground on those tree trunks, just to give it a little bit more depth. And I think I'm pretty much done. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this useful. Using contre-jour in paintings is a great way to create depth in a little sketch like this. Do give the video a like if you found it useful. If you're not a subscriber, do subscribe and hit the notification bell for future videos. I do try to post once a week if I can. And once again, thanks for watching.